Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Thomas Gilman, Chief Financial Officer and Assistant Secretary for Administration of the United States Department of Commerce, moderating a discussion with Governor Phil Bryant of Mississippi and Governor Ricardo Rosselló of Puerto Rico.
Good morning. Morning.
Morning.
Morning, everyone. How are you? Governor.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Brian Lenihan and everyone at SelectUSA, welcome to our panel discussion on the digital economy. I'm Tom Gilman, Chief Financial Officer and Assistant Secretary of Commerce, and I'll be moderating the discussion we'll have with two very interesting panelists, Governor Ricardo Rosselló of Puerto Rico and Governor Phil Bryant of Mississippi. Let me tell you a little bit about them. Ricardo Rosselló was sworn in as the governor of Puerto Rico on January 2nd, 2017. He's a college professor, a scientist, and a politician. He's the son of former Puerto Rican Governor Pedro Rosselló. In 2010, Governor Rosselló founded the political advocacy group Rico Ahora Es. He also has written columns for the daily paper El Vocero and appeared as a regular guest analyst on several political talk shows. The governor earned a bachelor's degree from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in biomedical engineering and economics, and a PhD in biomedical engineering from the University of Michigan. He and his wife, Beatriz, have a daughter, Claudia. Governor Phil Bryant was sworn in for his second term as Mississippi's 64th governor on January 12th, 2016. Before becoming the state's chief executive, Governor Bryant was lieutenant governor of Mississippi from 2008 to 2011. He also served as a state auditor and represented his legislative district in Mississippi for 5 years. The son of Dewey and Estelle Bryant, a diesel mechanic and a mother who stayed at home with her 3 boys, the governor learned at an early age the value of hard work and importance of education. As a native of Moorhead, he earned an associate's degree in criminal justice from Hines Community College and completed his bachelor's degree at the University of Southern Mississippi. He also holds a master's degree in political science from Mississippi College. And before assuming his role as governor, Phil served as an adjunct professor of government there. Governor Bryant and his wife, the First Lady of Mississippi, Deborah Bryant, have 2 adult children, Katie Bryant Snell and Patrick Bryant, and they're active members in the St. Mark's United Methodist Church in Brandon. Now, about the digital economy. Since the mid-1990s, with the growth of the internet, the digital economy has expanded and has changed how we operate in business, as well as how we interact with each other. Computers are now global, and our economy today relies on digital technologies that could not have been anticipated a few years ago. These technologies continue to evolve rapidly. We experience new ones every day. And they change how people work, interact with businesses and government, as well as how they live and communicate with their friends and family. At the Department of Commerce, our National Communications and Information Administration, NTIA, estimates that 75% of Americans now use the internet compared to 44% in 2000. Further, our Bureau of Economic Statistics estimates that the digital economy accounted for nearly $1.4 trillion of U.S. gross domestic product in 2017. That ranks it 7th largest as a share of GDP, just below professional, scientific, and technical services. So it is completely appropriate that the topic of digital economy is something we discuss as a matter here at SelectUSA, and specifically how our state and local governments are responding to these changes with public policy and investment in this tidal wave of change. Today we have 2 outstanding governors with us who are here to tell us what they are doing to take advantage of the digital economy and to attract digital businesses to their jurisdictions. So let's start first with Governor Rosselló.
Morning.
With the demographic changes over the last 3 decades in Puerto Rico, leading to significant older population, how can the development of Puerto Rico as a hub of the human cloud mitigate issues associated with the lack of available employees for tech-related companies?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and talk about what we're doing in Puerto Rico. First off, you mentioned a core concept of where we want to take Puerto Rico, which is make it what we're calling the home of the human cloud. The idea behind this is that as jobs are becoming more geographically independent, folks are going to start moving to places where they can have a greater quality of life and they can enjoy themselves, all the while benefiting from certain incentives that we've established. So in the onset of the hurricane, we saw the opportunity in Puerto Rico to see things as a blank canvas. And with that, having Puerto Rico be a hub of a human cloud, having us make sure that we're open for business, attacking bureaucracy and facilitating processes, making sure that we take advantage of our geographic and cultural positioning in the center of the Americas and become a connector of the Americas. And lastly, become an island of innovation. Those are our key guiding principles towards doing that. But you've mentioned a critical problem or a critical challenge that we have. We have an aging population. How are we going to make sure that our folks stay in Puerto Rico, that we deter the ongoing exodus that has been going on in our island for, quite frankly, over 5 decades? And we invite those folks to come back and serve, and we can balance that out. Well, Puerto Rico has some of the most aggressive, most competitive incentives in all of the United States. Puerto Rico has the most aggressive incentives for exporting services. We are on the cusp of making an incentives code that will establish how we're going to invest in certain areas that are critical for our development and that have the highest return on investment on every dollar that the government spend. So with some of those components and with the recovery funding that's coming to Puerto Rico, we have an opportunity to showcase and to rebuild our island more effectively. So what we're doing right now, and we're seeing it in the numbers, we are inviting others to come to the island. We are seeing that the massive exodus that was once there is showing signs of slowing down. And in that way, we can start balancing out a little bit of the aging population problem so that we can make sure that we have a younger generation also attending to those needs. Those are just some of the areas that we're working for. But of course, we created a new office as well called the Puerto Rico Office of Innovation, Technology, Service, and Innovation, which is making sure that we continuously are on a continuous loop to identify what changes are occurring around us so that Puerto Rico can position itself strategically towards the future. So we feel that although that is one of the challenges that we have, there is a great opportunity with the recovery funding, with the opportunity zones where Puerto Rico qualifies essentially 100%, and with the toolkit of economic incentives that's comparable, to none anywhere else in the United States. Puerto Rico is bound to make a significant impact and a rebound.
Great. Governor Bryant, workforce development is critical to the digital economy, and I understand you have developed some coding skills down in Mississippi. Could you tell us about the importance of those?
Absolutely. We're on about the 3rd decade of the digital economy, maybe longer than that, depending on how far you want to go back. But we all know about e-commerce now. We do the same thing with Innovate Mississippi. It's our Chamber of Commerce for the digital economy. I mean, you're all out there working on your digital economy just now. If you've got an iPhone, if you've got a phone with you, a lot of you are doing that iPhone prayer. You're paying attention, and you have to. I was in Tashkent, Uzbekistan just 2 weeks ago, and I was texting my office, and I was communicating with my chief of staff, so we were continuing to make sure that the office of the governor of the state of Mississippi was managing as I was halfway around the world. So we understand you can be anywhere and conduct the business that you need to. And so what will the next generation look like? I think we've got to think past that. 1996, I remember as state auditor doing the first paperless audit. So we realized that we could capture the financial information electronically and conduct an audit inside our office, our main office there in Jackson, Mississippi, and not have to travel all over the state. The problem was the young employee that I had that was prepared to do that came to my office one day and he said, I really don't want to do this paperless audit. And I said, why? I mean, this is exciting. You're a young guy, you know this IT world. It was just beginning in 1996. He said, yes, but I get paid mileage. So when I travel to the courthouse and I come back home, I get paid, I don't know, 17 cents a mile, whatever it was in those days. And he said, that's a couple of $100 a week, so I'm going to lose $200 doing the first paperless audit. You see, that's the human factor that was taking place there. So I said, well, what if I give you a $200 a month raise? He said, I like that idea. I said, go and tell your wife you just got a $200 a month raise and go do that paperless audit. It changed everything. Now it's commonplace for us to be able to do that, but we had to train people. So now we got coding academies, 3 different coding academies. One I'm very proud of, I took the Secretary of Labor to see it not long ago, is Jackson. So we use inner city Jackson youth to enter that coding academy, 30 of them. Now some people came to me and said, you know, this might not work. African-American population, a lot from inner city urban university, Jackson State, they said, we're just not sure that they may be able to get this coding. 29 of them have jobs now. The 30th one is going to stay and be an instructor. That's how it is changing so rapidly and how you can do the same thing, I think, anywhere around the world. I was just with USAID yesterday and we were looking at Africa. And we were saying, what are the jobs of the future for those in Africa that need the new frontier that we see now? Coding. Start with coding. Start with IT. So that a child there in Togo will be able to learn the specialties that he needs for the digital economy. Not just, even if he's working in agriculture. I don't know if you've driven a tractor lately. I have, but you get your GPS set and you know exactly where that tractor is going to go, when it's going to reach the end of the road, when it's going to turn around, and the fields are just perfect. There's nothing in life that we don't do now that is not involved with a new economy. Now, we talked earlier, I've got a 1955 Chevrolet. Yeah, 1955 Chevrolet. I bought it when I was 16. Now, when the electronic magnetic bomb goes off, I'm going to be the only guy driving. It doesn't have a computer in it. 1955, they didn't know it had spark plugs and a set of points, and they're going to work. But that's old technology. But in those days, it was cutting edge. The 265 V8 that Harley Earl designed in those days changed the automotive world forever. Now, what are we doing now? How are we going to train our new mechanics, our new technicians of the world? I went out to a diesel technician shop the other day. My dad was a diesel mechanic. It looks like a rocket engine. And oh, by the way, we are now manufacturing rocket engines, propulsion systems that will put man on Mars one day. We're testing them at John C. Stennis Space Center in Hancock County. Man may go to Mars one day and return safely to Earth, but he's going to have to pass through Hancock County to get there. This is the new economy that we must train our young men and women of the future. And we're starting in as early as child care, where we got computer tots. So 4 and 5-year-old children are learning how to work on their computers. My grandchildren love my iPhone. I can't tear it away from them. My daughter asked me one day, I went to the restaurant and I gave my granddaughter an iPhone, so she was playing with it to keep her busy while the food was coming. My daughter said, Dad, what did y'all give us? And I said, car keys. You know, anybody old enough remember that? You gave them a set of car keys and they would sit there and play with that. Now it's an iPhone and their little fingers are just moving it. They're getting information. They're looking at the photographs. They're actually typing on it. So we are training through our 3 coding academies, our base coding academy, for example, in Columbus, Mississippi, the new workforce of the future. We are training in our new space industry with our space initiative. Very soon I'll announce the creation of a space force with our Mississippi Air National Guard at Stennis Space Center. Space is the new frontier. Y'all ever heard that? I just made that up. No, it is indeed. Space is the new frontier for all of us worldwide, and it better start here today if we're going to keep pace with the rest of the world. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you. Governor Rosselló, with Puerto Rico still recovering from the hurricanes, we spoke about this before, is there anything you'd like to tell us regarding the viability of starting a company on the island in the conditions?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch
is there anything you'd like to tell us about starting a company and the viability of it post-hurricanes?
Of course, Puerto Rico has gone through certain challenges, but in my view, those challenges are now becoming an opportunity. We did have fiscal and economic challenges in the past decades. We're turning that around now. And of course, we're recovering from one of the biggest, most devastating hurricanes in the modern history of the United States. That said, we've made structural changes throughout our government to make sure that we can make the ease of doing business better in Puerto Rico. And sometimes these catastrophic events can spearhead these changes. It allows us to leapfrog instead of making incremental changes forward. So for example, we've made a P3, a public-private partnership law that is the gold standard, in our view, in the United States. Right now, we have the most aggressive pipeline of projects in all of the United States for public-private partnerships. We've also moved forward with labor reforms. We've established and externalized the promotion of Puerto Rico as a destination for investment in our new effort called Invest Puerto Rico. Rod Miller is here with us. He leads that effort. And the idea is that we can get private stakeholders to run in a long-standing way where to invest and to make the appropriate studies and to make the appropriate connection with the investment community to come to Puerto Rico. In addition to that, because of the devastation, there are a lot of funds coming to Puerto Rico now. A lot of those are going to go to infrastructure, but a lot of those are going to go to economic development as well. So we're going to invest in certain areas of incubators, innovation centers. Workforce development is critical right now for us. We're moving forward with plans towards doing that from K through 12, university, apprenticeship programs, and so forth. And Puerto Rico has always been recognized for its high quality labor in terms of manufacturing and high-end manufacturing. Now we can leverage a lot of the changes that we're putting forward so that new investment can come to the island. We're making a transformation on the energy grid, for example. What was once the biggest liability that we had in the business community is now going to become probably one of our biggest assets, because we're able to leapfrog from something that was a bad system to something that will be a model towards the future. Right now, as we're speaking, we're making changes on several generational fronts. And by the end of December of this year, we're going to have made a concession to private sector partners for the transmission and distribution of the energy grid. We've established policy that allows this to happen, and policy that allows us to produce energy at cheaper levels with natural gas and transition towards renewable energies as well. And on top of all of that, dozens of billions of dollars for recovery, a toolkit that is unparalleled in the United States for investment, for exporting services, for investments of a certain wealth. And lastly, the opportunity zones, whereas in every other state, opportunity zones encompass about 20 to 25% of their area. In Puerto Rico, it's 97% of the island qualifies as an opportunity state, as an opportunity zone. So while we've gone through bad storms, and probably this is a bad analogy, it is now sort of the perfect storm of certain good initiatives that are going on in Puerto Rico that, in my view, position Puerto Rico as the best spot to invest looking towards the next 5 years and forward.
Great. Governor Bryant, you recently brought Amazon to Mississippi.
I did.
What does it mean to have them there?
Oh, it's a game changer for us. People have a narrative of Mississippi, Governor, probably a narrative of Puerto Rico. And it often trapped 20 years ago, where they think Mississippi's sort of a sleepy state where we all sit around and sip iced tea. Now, we like for them to think that sometimes, because that's when we just pass them. That's when everybody looks and said, where in the world did Mississippi come from? So we started on that IT spectrum years ago, and Amazon was a key to us. The fulfillment center in Marshall County will employ 850 Mississippians, but more than that, working with Amazon, looking at a data center. We actually changed the law. We went in and looked at how we incentivize data centers because people couldn't get in their mind, is it different from a manufacturing? We manufacture about 500,000 automobiles a year with Nissan and Toyota. We manufactured 70% of the surface combat vessels being sailed by the United States Navy. Today, we're manufactured in Pascagoula, Mississippi. So we know how to incentivize manufacturers. We can look and say, oh, they're making cars. Oh, they're making warships. Oh, Raytheon's making the most advanced radar systems in the world in Forest, Mississippi. But what about a data center? So we went in and we said, you know, there's not so many people in a data center. You don't need hundreds of people to run it. But the income that they receive is higher than the normal average income in the state of Mississippi. So if we say, if you'll pay these employees about $47,000 a year, $47,000 a year, we'll lower the threshold of our incentive. So the state of Mississippi will invest in Amazon, invest in anyone's data center with a lower number of investments, about 2020. So 20 employees, $20 million investment. State of Mississippi is going to get our checkbook out. We're going to cut your taxes. We're going to incentivize you to come there. I was just talking about space. Relativity space is coming. I'll announce that just now. First time ever it's been announced. Relativity Space is coming to Stennis Space Center. They're going to hire 190 employees to manufacture 3D manufacturing of their propulsion system. They're going to invest $59 million. We're going to invest with them as well. But those are jobs for now those students that are in high school or community colleges. So with a 2-year degree, being able to understand how to work that 3D printer, how to actually be a technician to build, and I've seen it. It is absolutely remarkable, a 3D rocket engine that is manufactured with a 3D printer and then taken to a test stand and tested there at Stennis Space Center. So again, we're incentivizing those, but it took Amazon, I think, to help with the narrative of Mississippi. Because when Amazon comes, people listen. When they step up, and not only is it just Amazon or fulfillment center and data center, you've got to look at the space program. When Jeff Bezos created that rocket ship that will go into space and come back and land and can do so. He did it 4 times within about a 72-hour period. He's already selling tickets, so he'll be able to take you into outer space and let you enjoy that activity. But space is going to be where new manufacturing is at. It's going to be where the energy of the future is coming from. It's going to be where mining asteroids are taking place. But it would be, as we were just talking to the secretary earlier, it would be like getting on an aircraft and flying from here to Miami and throwing it away and getting another aircraft. We don't have to do that anymore. It's reusable, it's effective, so the cost of space travel is going down and the financial benefits of being there is going up. And when that crosses, Mississippi wants to be there.
So I recently visited your state and for the first NET board meeting, and I was impressed with the advanced use of the capabilities for first responders. Could you elaborate on that and then elaborate a little bit on the University of Mississippi's Medical Center and how they're doing telemedicine?
Oh, absolutely. FirstNet changed everything. After Katrina, there was no cell service. There was no way to talk to anybody. Then Governor Barber literally had to write notes to the National Guard and get them to take them to another National Guardsman or to a first responder. Now with FirstNet, we can all talk to each other. First responders can talk to medical responders. We can talk to firefighters. We can talk to the National Guard. It has changed everything for us. It is a reliable method of being able to communicate not only with voice but with data. So if I've got someone that is traveling to the University Medical Center, that first responder in that helicopter is talking to a specialist at the University Medical Center about trauma. He's being able to apply the triage that's necessary for that patient. Think about telemedicine. We're one of, I think, only 4 states in America that has an A rating for telemedicine. Now, telemedicine is going to be the way. That iPhone you have, that's going to be your primary care physician. You're going to be able to get, as you can now, get your physician on there. You're going to be able to hold it against your chest. He's going to be able to listen to your heartbeat. He's going to find out what your vitals are. He's going to say, let me see your retina. He's going to say, I'm going to call you in a prescription at Walgreens. You go by and pick that up. I don't think it's anything serious. But he's going to deliver that health care to you in just a matter of moments while he's on the golf course. Telemedicine is changing everything. And at the University of Mississippi, the medical center there, working with FirstNet, is getting that data, getting that big data that physicians really need to the patient in rural Mississippi. Now, think how many of you across the world have that same problem. You don't have enough physicians. You've got to get somehow remotely there and deliver health care. Amazon's going to have the drones to do it, and you're going to have an iPhone or an iPad to be able to get into that area, and satellites will be able to furnish the information and the broadband capabilities that you need from outer space.
And Governor Rosselló, I understand you signed up for FirstNet as well.
Yes, we did so before the storm. And it's going over development. And of course, we saw in the aftermath, I think we probably signed it about a month before Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico. We saw the total devastation. Even our backup plans didn't work after the hurricane. So having this capability, having other initiatives that I think it's important for our crowd to know, we're building redundancy in a ring around the island as well. We're making transoceanic cables as well, so that we can guarantee that the flow of information continues. So there is a lot going on, but certainly FirstNet is something that we wanted to support from the very get-go.
So, governors, I like to have a little fun when we close out these sessions, and so I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Governor Rosselló, tourism is a very large part of Puerto Rico, and it's a beautiful, beautiful island. But it's a large part of the economy. And there are many potential tourists here in this room. How can you entice these fine people to make Puerto Rico their next vacation spot and eventually bring their businesses to your island?
Well, I have a secretary for that, but I will try to do my best pitch. Puerto Rico is a paradise. I think everybody has seen it. Beautiful, great people, phenomenal ambience all year long. But what you probably don't know is the business incentives that we have and the changing tourism that's ongoing in Puerto Rico. Right now, as we did with investment, we've externalized tourism to a destination marketing organization. And we've seen that what folks really want, aside from the beaches and the, sort of the general quality of life, is the experiences and the culture. So let me draw you in to Puerto Rico so that you can have some fun, so that you can enjoy a lot of the experience that we have. But mind you, if you want to open your business in Puerto Rico, here is what you're going to get. You're going to get the opportunity to invest through opportunity zones everywhere in the island, essentially. You're going to get a toolkit that you don't have anywhere else. Where Puerto Rico has the most competitive rates for exporting services anywhere in the nation, has the most competitive rates for investors of a certain wealth anywhere in the nation. We were talking about doctors, has the most competitive rates also for medical doctors, and now we're starting to have them come over here, and they're bilingual, so we can do telemedicine to anywhere within the Americas. So we have a unique tool set that will make your business thrive, and now it's the opportunity to invest, because now it's when we're rebuilding. So I hope that for your next vacation, you come, you sit down, you have a piña colada, you enjoy the beautiful beaches and the beautiful experiences, but also know that Puerto Rico could be your next home for business, or just your next home altogether. And we are with open arms waiting to receive all of you over there.
Thank you, Governor.
I'll see how my secretary evaluates that pitch.
There'll be pina coladas in the hall after the break.
Governor Bryant,
yeah.
You've already talked about your 1955 Chevrolet Nomad, which I have seen, and it is impeccable.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about how you fell in love with that vehicle.
Well, I was working at a Texaco service station when I was trying to get into high school and needed an automobile, and worked all summer, and the owner let me purchase it. But it was so many lessons that I learned from there, not only how you can take something that looks old and rebuild it and make it look new again, but I love automobiles. I love the idea. Think about Henry Ford and what Henry Ford did for America. Automobiles were very expensive. Only the rich could own them. Henry Ford came along and said, I think I'm going to make an automobile called a Ford Model T. so everyone in America will be able to afford it. A lot of people in America did, and he changed the world as we know it. If you look at what we're doing with the digital economy, if you look at what we're doing in space just now, there are parallels there as the technology changed from that 1920 Ford Model T to 1955. In 1955, they thought the Chevrolet Nomad was so innovative. It was in Detroit. Dinah Shore sang a song about it. See the USA in your Chevrolet. I mean, they thought this is the top of the world, and technology will never be greater than this. And then the 1956 Chevrolet came out, and with a 283 cubic inch engine, and changed everything. So if you look at the automobile industry and look at what we're doing now, for example, in space, there are great parallels there. There are men, the Elon Musks of the world, that are changing the ideas, the Jeff Bezos, that think, it may be in the NASA days and the Apollo days were the 1960s and 70s. And what will happen in 2020? 2022, they will not only be going, tourists will not only be going to beautiful Puerto Rico, they'll be going to outer space. This is beginning to change everything as we know it, but loving automobiles, realizing what happened to the world and what's ongoing now, as I just rolled out the new Toyota Corolla 2020 just a month or so ago in Tupelo, Mississippi, and seeing the technology that is in that automobile as compared to what was happening just a decade ago. I think it's a great parallel, and so I enjoy getting out and driving my 55 Chevrolet and taking it to shows, but I enjoy just as much realizing what the automobile of the future is going to be and when I'm going to be able to work and study and integrate the technology of that automobile that is autonomous. So now we're starting to work with automobiles that will drive themselves. That's probably 2 or 3 years away. Think about how that changes business and what we do. But it is good to be able to come home at night and realize that I can go back to the future with a new 1955 Chevrolet Nomad.
Well, as you can see, these two men come from different geographies and different cultures, but their challenges are similar and the objectives are the same. As we continue throughout SelectUSA and this summit, I believe the topic of the digital economy will be heard throughout the convention spaces. And one will certainly continue to track and study that at the Department of Commerce. So thank you to you two great governors and to you, the audience, for your time and interest, and enjoy the rest of SelectUSA.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, sir.